Hello and welcome to Bothering Strangers with Max Hearing. I'm Max Hearing, and today we have an Olympian. His name is Louie Vito. He snowboarded for the U.S. Olympic team in the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, and he is now in the process of qualifying for the 2022 Olympics for Team Italy. So changing allegiances there a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
he's been, he's been a pro snowboarder since 2005 now, and he's one to watch out for. Louis, how's it going?
Guys, I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm good. This was it's always difficult getting pro athletes like figure out that timing.
Yeah, and I also kind of slacked, so as a lot of it was my fault. I could have made it way easier for you, but you stuck with it, so it made me feel good.
That's the second time someone's called me persistent today. So I'm running
Yes,
with
I
it.
think persistence is good, man. It's always about that.
If I wasn't persistent, I would have probably stopped at this point. So the Olympics are hopefully going to happen next year. You know, you never know anymore, but you not that long ago announced that obviously you snowboarded, you got fifth place in half pipe in 2010 in Vancouver for Team USA,
Yep,
and you have Italian heritage. Your last name's
yep.
Vito, so yeah. And your grandparents are Italian, and you announced that you're going to try to qualify to snowboard for Team Italy in
Yeah.
20 in the upcoming Olympics. So what was that decision about?
Um, well, it's always kind of something that I wanted to do is, obviously I'm American, make it for the US, and 2010 especially was so cutthroat back then. It was like almost harder to make the team for the US than it was to do well at the Olympics. And once I achieved that, I was really stoked. And then kind of just wanted to honor my grandmother and my dad's side of the family and do something that, not many people have the chance to kind of represent both sides of their family more or less, and it was just something I thought would be really cool to honor my grandmother especially. So it was something it just took a little bit longer to get all the paperwork and kind of go through that process. And I had to go through the San Francisco consulate, and I mean it's over a 2-year wait list just to get an appointment there, not to mention like then they have to process everything, which takes a little bit of time. So I actually wanted to do it a little bit earlier, but it just ended up happening now.
Okay, I did not realize it was like that. Uh, so I mean, when did you decide? When were you like, okay, I'm gonna try in this next coming upcoming Olympics to
Well,
yeah.
my dad and I have always like kind of spitballed crazy ideas back and forth and like just random stuff. And it was kind of one of those things that I wanted to get my citizenship anyways, because I feel like, most Italian Americans are very proud of their heritage, and to have the opportunity to have, both citizenships and really kind of embrace it. Obviously, um, growing up in an Italian household, it's a lot of tradition, a lot of culture, a lot of things that are kind of instilled in you in a young age. And then I probably really didn't start taking it seriously until 2016, maybe kind of started getting the ball rolling, but I didn't really know what that meant to like the process and you needed how to prove this and how to do this. And so you learn, it's pretty cool though, because I learned so much about um, my grandmother's family and her parents and stuff like that. And um my dad and I were a part of this group on Facebook that was really insightful and kind of could walk you through so many different avenues to go about it. So it was a pretty fun learning process. It was also kind of frustrating at certain parts getting this document from New York, this document from Italy, translating this one, translating it to English, translating it to Italian. And it was a lot more work than like, hey, my grandma's from Italy, like, let's do this. It wasn't as
Wasn't
easy.
like that.
And I'm younger at when we were kind of talking in my head too. I tend to make things sometimes a little bit easier.
Hmm.
I'm like, why can't we just do it? Like I have
Yeah.
proof. Like here's a birth certificate. Let's call it. And it was like, no.
And I take it you don't speak Italian as well.
I've been taking classes. That's like I grew up, and it's funny because as I'm taking classes now too, you learn like certain Italian American words aren't necessarily even Italian, but you're
Yeah.
taught that it's Italian. And I took Latin for 4 years in high school as like a deal with my mom to be able to go to boarding school, like snowboard boarding school. So if I would have done it probably quicker after high school, then it would have been a little bit easier. But I finally during quarantine, when quarantine first happened, it was like one thing that I finally like, all right, I'm gonna make time and do this. So I've been taking classes. Because I mean, it's not one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going for Italy. I'm going to go to the Olympics and then call it a day. Like I really wanted to embrace it and do it properly. So it got a little bit trickier once kind of we started traveling a little bit more. Like I went to Europe a couple times at the end of summer for snowboarding and for some paperwork stuff. But it got a little trickier with the timing and travel. But I'll be taking class tomorrow, so I'll have 3 classes this week. So I've been really trying to do it when I can, but it's been a little bit challenging. It's good for me though because it's been a while since I've been in school, so keep my mind working.
How's your Italian now?
Yeah, Parlo Italiano un po'. Like I speak Italian a little. Like
I understood that.
yeah, I mean it's there's like just some things. It's funny because with them rolling the R's in the trill, like I do some words, but some words that's really difficult for me to like do that combination. But it's been fun. It's just like I said, it's just going back into kind of the school mode where you're really got to practice. The problem was I got so excited in the beginning and I was doing classes, every other day. And then I was going online and learning more words. And so then before you know it, I do note cards and I have just like bricks of note cards. And it's like, okay, this is like almost too much to like go through every single one. So my teacher, we do it on Skype and kind of got her to do a little bit more conversational talking in the beginning. Like instead of asking me what I did or what I'm doing today, like let's do it all in Italian. So that's been helping. And problem is when I'm home in Utah, like I don't have any Italian friends here to practice.
Really? That's shocking.
Yeah, well, I tried. I looked for like, is there any Italian clubs here and what's going on? But between COVID and my travel schedule, that would still be difficult anyways.
I've been learning Spanish since the pandemic started, and
How's that?
It's difficult. I at least have people to talk to, but it's difficult. I mean, I had the same excitement you had at first, and
Yeah.
it's gone. Once they brought in past tense Spanish, it was gone. Like there was
That's exactly
no.
where I'm at right now. I'm doing a lot of past tense stuff now, and it's like if it's an action, you do it this way. If it's not, but then there's these certain words that you have to memorize that they don't change the same as the other ones.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're very similar, Spanish and Italian. Are you taking like? Do you have a teacher? Or are you doing like
Rosetta Stone. So like I paid for the full Rosetta Stone, right? So like then you pay and they're like, okay, I have to do it, which is good. Which I say is a bad thing, but it's a good thing. So I paid for like the full like lifetime Rosetta Stone for Spanish, which is actually like it's only like $300, so like definitely worth it. And I don't actually know any of the rules. Like I can recognize them, but I don't know the names of any of the rules or anything like that.
Yeah. And I've always been a hands-on type of person.
Yeah,
so like,
for sure.
If you got me read like a textbook in like any subject, I wouldn't really comprehend it. But if I'm meeting with the teacher or somebody's like explaining it to me, I'd get it. And I did really well in school. So it's like when I'm reading this and it's like possessive nouns and auxiliary, whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's just start doing some of the book work here. And then I'll hopefully figure it out.
Yeah, I stopped. When I started, I really wanted to be able to like write well and then I stopped even like caring about writing now. Like now the only thing I care about is just like speaking and like reading and understanding.
Yeah. I
It's
want
too
to
much.
I just want conversational. I want to be able to like talk and even, I have like my Japanese friends that snowboard, especially, their English is a little more broken. If I can just get to that part where like you're still understanding what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but it's maybe not like a complete sentence. Like some of the Japanese writers, I mean, especially when they first kind of come on the scene, like they don't really, they're really shy too.
Oh
So
yeah.
you just ask them like, how's pipe? Like, how's the half pipe? Instead of saying, how's the half pipe? You say, how's pipe? Good day. Like, you just shorten it. So if I can just like kind of get to that part, then I'll be happy. But I have to keep my head down because I look at like where I want to go and where I'm
It's
at.
too much. It's too
And I get
far.
overwhelmed and get kind of discouraged.
Yeah, I
Head
know.
down and just one day after another.
It's like not I'm gonna be this guy, but it's like Socrates, whoever said it's like the more I know, the more I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously he said it better than that, but it's kind of like the more you learn, the more like, oh wow, I know so little.
Yeah. But I'm just, chipping away.
I never thought I'd be out here paraphrasing incorrectly from Socrates.
Yeah, but it sounds good.
You
You
brought it
could have
out.
said
You brought
whatever
it
that I
out.
wouldn't have known the difference probably. Like, oh, you did
Somebody,
that too? Cool.
I hope somebody hears that and like reads out to me, is like, that's not. They're gonna be like, that's Aristotle. It could have been Aristotle. I don't know.
Either way, though, I think it's some famous philosopher said something
Yeah,
like,
one of them. Um, what you were on Dancing with the Stars a couple of years ago, and you were on like this like fishing reality show called One
yep.
Boat Challenge, which I actually recommend everyone watches. I watched some of it in preparation for this. Highly entertaining. Like
Oh
really
yeah,
is actually really good.
yeah,
Uh
that was fun, and it's short too. So I mean, it's not like someone's
yeah.
gonna like invest, a binge watching. It's like they're all quick episodes, and there's like five, I think, four, five.
There were many, but they're only 12 minutes long, so it was like,
Yeah, it was just we jam packed it. I mean, that was so fun. We went down to a fishing lodge in Mexico, and
oh wow.
it was kind of intense because I didn't even know where I was going. Toyota kind of asked me if I would be interested. They said, "Have you fished?" I said, "I mean, yeah, I fished," but they're like, "What's your level?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I
Good.
fish. Like I can cast." And so that was definitely an over my head because everybody that like quote unquote just fishes was like, "Oh, I'm a guide. My partner, he's like, I got a fishing boat on this part of Florida, the fishing boat on this part of Florida, a
What
freshwater,
about
a saltwater one."
your partner also fished? Willie Young, the former NFL player?
That's all he does now. Go to his Instagram, and that's all he does is
Well,
fish.
I didn't do that, but had he fished a lot before that as well?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like
so you
like what he does since he's been retired from the NFL.
retired for a couple of years. So you were like the only one who like hadn't who like had only who like hadn't fished much.
Exactly. But I like got
Cool.
hooked. I mean, we went down and
Cool.
I and what it was called Mazatlan or whatever. I think that's
Mazatlan.
yeah, Mazatlan. I thought I was going there. And so
You
like
weren't?
even then that was like shortly after those fundamentalist Mormons got murdered on the side of the road in Mexico. And my
I
mom's like, "Oh, there's no way they're still gonna do it." I'm like, "No, we are." And so I ended up going down there, and then I get in the car. We got a bus or a van. And I'm like, "How far is the drive?" And they're like, 2 hours. And I'm like, "We're
wow.
not where I thought I was going to be." And I mean, we're like minutes from like the Sinaloa cartel headquarters and stuff. But it was
Set
like
this up. Who
uh, they
did you
were.
do it?
I didn't set it. Toyota was just a part of it and asked if I wanted to do it. But it was sick. It was like the most awesome fishing lodge ever. Not that I've been to many, but like as far as like any kind of like place to go, the food was amazing. The people were amazing. And then like if you just go there, I mean, there's like a bunch of guides that are just chilling on the boat and you just jump on one. They have coolers full of drinks, but all the guides were awesome and they all grew up in the area on that lake. It's been stocked, but the food was incredible. Like they had the best chefs that were just like, and let's say like I'm like, man, I really just want nachos. Boom, they'll bring them out for you. But like the meat, the fish, everything was good. That they served. It was such a great experience. And they're like, "What do you want in the morning?" "I want coffee or orange juice." "Okay, perfect." And they come in your room at like 5 in the morning. "Mr. Louie, Mr. Willie," because we were sharing a room, and they open the door, turn the lights on, and then hot cup of coffee right there, or a glass of orange juice right there, and then you get up and get after it. It was awesome. I want to take my dad out there sometime. He's got a few fishing lodges too. I think there's like two in Mexico, one in the Amazon, and then I think he's building one right now in Idaho somewhere. But it was such a great experience.
It looked like I don't think I might have fished it once in my life. Without
Yeah.
fishing, it looked really fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's like this place was known for how big of the bass they have, which is kind of funny because in the show, like we caught some big ones, but I mean, just granted, we were shooting a lot during the day, which obviously, if you want to get the really big ones, is like morning or evening. But I caught some of the biggest fish I've ever caught, and then he's got another one where another lodge where it's like you can just catch record number. You're just always catching them, and then it's like the Amazon's the Amazon, so I mean, you're gonna catch crazy stuff there, but it was really cool. I mean, that was one of the more fun things. I mean, Toyota has been such a great partner. I've been with them for like 10 years or more. And I always just like, hey, whatever you guys want me to do, or what, like, I want to do weird stuff, anything. Like, I mean, I've gone and spoke at like an engineering conference that they had all their engineers at, and they were having like office Olympics there, and we are just doing fun stuff. I've driven a pace car at NASCAR with them. I
Man, that's
shot
so
something
fun.
with Antron Brown, who's one of their drag racers. So I got to go to an NHRA race and
Wow,
like be right down there, like where they say hold your phone really tight because it's going to blow out of your hand from
that's
the
amazing.
drag racer. Obviously the fishing show. I'm going to go to, if everything goes as planned, I'm supposed to go to Tokyo with them and do some content for them in Tokyo. But Toyota's just like, it's been great, and they do so much cool stuff that I've been able to do a lot outside of just like, oh, I snowboard, and we do snowboarding stuff together. It's like I want to really do as much as possible.
That's well, I'm very jealous hearing everything that you've been able to do. I'm oh wow, it all sounds so fun.
Yeah, it's I'm definitely very fortunate, and to have a brand that you're partnered with for so long. It's been great.
Wow. One day I'll be able to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll get Toyota to pay for it too.
Yeah, I mean that's always the goal, right? To do stuff with partners so that you don't have to foot it. I mean, I
I
pay for
know.
snowboarding though. I gotta work hard off the board too, like doing crazy stuff with Toyota and keep awesome brands around, because traveling and snowboarding is not cheap.
Okay, so let's work on that. Let's work on that then. How you live in Salt Lake City? I mean, I have many questions. Let's just talk about the money first. Guess how do you pay for all your stuff? Like, is Toyota footing the bill, or are you working? Do you have a day job? Like, how does
Well,
that look?
your sponsors pay you like a salary, and then you can have incentives in your contracts. I mean, my contracts have kind of morphed over time. Um, and then you might have podium incentives. If you win an event, you get money from the contest, and some sponsors might match it depending. Some people have travel budget, but travel budget was always hard because it's money that you have to use, but you have to, show them receipts and stuff. So I would just put it on my salary. So I mean, my sponsors, I guess, technically pay for my travel, but I pay for it out of the money they pay me. But like if I go to, if I'm doing an event for a sponsor or for anybody really, like they'll cover my travel. And then if it's not a brand I'm partnered with, then you have a day rate and stuff. But for me, like Toyota wants me to do something that they take care of everything. Um, and then that's that. But if it's like I want to go snowboarding in Alaska, I'm gonna go pay for that. It's not, unless I can figure out like, hey, let's film a commercial for this brand out there. Um, it's all I pay for it. So
And in the summer, do you go to South America? Do you go to Oregon, Mount Hood, and
yeah, I go to
Oregon?
Mount
Where
Hood.
do you go?
I've gone to Mount Hood since for a long time, like 20 plus years. And then we used to go to New Zealand quite a bit, and then Saas-Fee in Switzerland is a pretty popular place right now. So
So how often are you in Salt Lake City when it's not when you can't snowboard?
it depends, kind of just what the year's like, what I'm doing that year, what the snow's like, um, things like that. I mean, it kind of always changes, but I travel quite a bit. But I love traveling, and I mean, I like getting there. Traveling sometimes is a little bit of a headache, but
Yeah,
getting
no, I'm
there is,
not a fan.
but I mean, for me, it's just, I have all these great opportunities. I just try to do as much stuff as possible, because there's going to come a time where people don't want me to do things, and then I'm going to be like, man, I really miss doing that. And so I just try to take it all in now, especially when I have no kids, and things, so I can really kind of enjoy it a bit more.
I like how on your website, on your bio, I assume you wrote that. You said, if I wasn't snowboarding, I'd be in school, so it's good I'm snowboarding.
Yeah, that was probably when I wrote that part. I said that because it was a very hard time when I got to a point where, like, even if I was in med school, like I would have graduated by now. So now I'm like, I
Yeah.
got the line right there. It's like med school, I still would. Oh, I would have been graduated twice. So
How does that? I mean, do you think of that? Because like you're a young, but like in the realm of like your sport, you're in your early 30s now. Like
Yeah.
you've
It's
been doing it for a long
definitely,
time.
it's kind of funny when you see some of these young kids that are like kind of getting into some of the bigger contests, maybe not winning them, but they're kind of getting in, and it's like, wow, you were like 5 years old when I went to the Olympics. Like, they're just so young. It's like, it's wild. But I just think, for me, I just think of it like I've been fortunate between having great partners and taking care of myself, and the way that I prepare on and off the snow, that I've had such longevity in my career. Because there's a lot of times where, people are great snowboarders, but, maybe they just haven't had that strong bond with a sponsor, or they get burned out or they get hurt, but they're such great snowboarders, but it just doesn't make sense for them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. What is, I mean, do you like when you think about like how you eat and how you exercise? I mean, have you had to adjust it because
Yeah, I mean, I
you're in
stopped drinking.
your early
I
30s?
stopped drinking when I turned 23.
Oh wow,
Not when I turned, but when I was 23, I
when you
stopped.
were 23.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's been very helpful, I think. And I've always kind of taken fitness and eating healthy pretty serious, but at the same time, like what I do for the last 11 years, probably I didn't do for the first half of, first bit. I was aware and I still worked out. I still had a trainer and stuff, but not like to the level that I'm at now. And I always say, like, this saves you from some of the falls that could have taken you out. You might avoid that. Or if you go into surgery, but you're in shape, your body's running efficiently, then the rehab times cut down quite a bit. And snowboarding's also evolved over time. You can't really do the whole party hard, snowboard hard, and still be, super
yeah.
competitive at the top of your game. It just doesn't work that way anymore. But I've always going to the gym, and, had a trainer and everything before it was like accepted, I guess, as much in snowboarding. Like, it wasn't really that cool. And like me stopping, like not drinking anymore, like that really wasn't that, like that wasn't like a cool thing to do. I just
Yeah.
did what was best for me. But I mean, I still go out. I still make sure my friends have a great time, and, just do my thing. But I just like being out. I don't need to drink. But it's funny now, like my hangover is like, man, I got 4 hours of sleep. I'm like, feel like I'm so hungover, but it's like, I'm just really tired.
Well, man, I'm 23. Like not even drinking, like working out hits me so much harder than it did when I was 18.
Yeah, but you probably
I
got better. That's the thing. So that's what I learned. Like over time, you learn, like, if you're working out hard, you got to make sure that you're eating to recover properly.
I'm probably doing it poorly, truthfully, but because like, I can tell you, I 2 days ago did a leg workout, like legs.
Yeah,
I have been out of commission for the last 2 days.
yeah.
Like
But see, I like that.
everything hurts.
I kind of like that. It means that you did something. You went in.
I know. Well, I think it was my fault because I haven't been working out that much in the pandemic, and I think I went too hard
Yeah, and
given what I've been doing in the past.
you got to make sure you're, like I said, you got to eat for the work you're about to do. And like, I'm not necessarily like burn more calories than you're putting in your body. Like, I don't really back that, but you have to like make sure you're eating right after your workout, and you're eating the right stuff, and what you're going to do for that day, you're giving yourself the right nutrients and
I
recovery.
know.
That makes a big difference, I think. I mean, I still get mad sore when I have a hard workout day, but still, like, making sure that I'm eating right, it definitely helps with how my body feels afterwards.
Do you have a nutritionist?
No, but my trainer is this guy, John Schaefer, who I met through Apollo Ono, who's like a mentor and big brother of mine.
Yeah,
And
big fan of Apollo Ono.
I always looked like, who's the most in shape Olympian anywhere, and
One
he's
of one of the greatest Winter Olympians of all time.
I mean, exactly. And so I actually asked Apollo, and his trainer we were at a Dancing with the Stars taping, and we were watching, and I met his trainer that night at the like after party, because it was the finale for Dancing with the Stars that season. And he looked at me and was like, "Your center of gravity is too high." And I was like, "Whoa, all
How do you
right."
know that?
Just from looking at me, I don't know. He's like old school. I mean, he's had 25 world records in powerlifting, world kickboxing champion at 51, trained like from SEALs to Apollo to anywhere in between. And he just, he knows so much about it. Like, I mean, the stuff that he was having me do early on, like people now, it's like a trendy thing to do. And like same with what he was doing with Apollo. Like at the time, nobody even was talking about it. And so that's been great. And I've been with him ever since. But he told me, I'm going to take your body to a place it's never been and back and there again and back. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. I've had NBA trainers up. It's no big deal, man. His easiest workout, like a recovery workout, easiest thing was harder than anything I've ever done.
Oof.
Hands down.
Yeah.
But I stay on it because like I never want to go back through that process. So
No, it sounds terrible.
I go check in with them. I did like 2 weeks with them before the season started. I would try to go in the spring for like a week because I adapt real fast and I still do my stuff, between recovery and all that. I do it now. So I try to go a week in the spring, a week or two in the summer. And then I'll try to do a cleanup real quick right before the season starts next year.
So like right now, March, still, you can still snowboard. You can probably still snowboard for a little while. What is like a regular day look like for you?
So right now we have some events coming up. So right now Woodward Park City opens up at 10. So I'll get there at 10 and pretty much just ride. And then depending, like if I'm riding a half pipe and I'm like actually kind of riding like pretty hard and not just kind of cruising, depends on how long I ride for. But I try to do, it depends on how the day goes. Like today we rode 4.5 hours probably, which was a pretty long day.
It's long, yeah.
And then I'll do some kind of recovery jog, like nothing faster than a 10-minute mile. Like try to be between 10 and 12-minute mile and just try to stay on flat ground and just kind of flush your legs and do a little calorie burn. But anything, a little bit faster than that or like up hills, then you're going to start, you go from like a recovery to actually having a workload, and then I'll get more sore. But this is like how I, treat myself, and then make sure I eat well and maybe do some core, but depends on how I'm feeling, how my body's reacting. And then then there's some days where I ride and I'm not really like, I'm just going to go take some laps and then I'll go do my normal lifts and stuff like that. But it kind of depends. In season, it's mostly just recovery, and I have such a strong base built that it doesn't take too much. If I really want to get like freaky lean or something, I can do it in like a week. So
So you do half pipe. When you say you ride, do you mean are you going on the half pipe or you're just hitting
So
like the slopes?
There's some days I just go ride, like and go cruise around, or maybe I'll go ride some powder or some jumps. But then there's like days where like when I go ride a half pipe, I can like I'm actually like sending, like trying to do stuff, get tricks going, and that's when for me I get a lot of the impact. Like if I take some flat landings, then my back might be kind of sore and stuff like that.
It sounds like theoretically, it sounds really fun to be like able to snowboard,
Yeah.
100 days a year or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's fun until you realize that I've been riding with like a tear in my L4, my L5's bulged and pretty much a gummy worm.
That's your vertebrae, right? That you're talking about?
Yeah, my discs. So my discs in there. And then I did that. I rode with that and a broken back 1 year. I've ridden with my meniscus torn, and then I had to get that 10% out and that drained. I broke my femur in half. I've broke my wrist. Rode with a broken wrist, grinded it 3 millimeters, bone graft from my hip to put in my wrist, separated shoulders, obviously like split, things open between tongue, eyebrow, face, a lot of ligament stuff. I mean, that's all. It's good, but for me, it's at the end of the day, I can only control so much. Like, eat healthy, be healthy, make sure I take like risks and not chances. Like, actually, more risks are a little more calculated. And then whatever happens. You can only prepare so much. But then also, what's the saying? It's like everybody dies, but not everybody lives. So, like for me, I'd rather be old and achy because I like really enjoyed life than feel 100% and didn't really do much. So that's the way I look at it.
How many concussions have you had? Do you think?
I mean, not too many. I mean, I had a bigger one a couple years ago, but I've been really fortunate. I think also I've been lucky. I've definitely been lucky. I mean, but early on too, it was like any sport. Like concussions weren't treated like they were now, like with concussion protocol and stuff like that. But I mean, even the bigger one I had more recently, like that one I passed everything, but like walking through like a ski town village, like just all the noises was like made me mentally exhausted. So I took off some time for that. But now definitely, I mean, I have a lot more hoops to jump through once you kind of smack your dome a little bit.
So what's you've been professional since 2005, but obviously you were snowboarding since before that. Uh, what's changed? Like when with training, with like
Uh,
attitudes, treatment of concussion, that type of thing.
I mean, I think everything just evolves, right? Snowboarding is fairly a new sport, if in
Yeah,
the
for
grand
sure.
things. So obviously, equipment gets better. Uh, Terrain parks get better. The people building them are obviously getting way better. Um, then everything's kind of getting bigger too. I mean, rails are getting bigger, jumps are getting bigger, half pipes are getting bigger, the tricks are getting bigger because everything's evolving. I mean, it's constantly evolving. And then, you get the next generation and they're what you did were the first ones to do is not as like big of a deal. And so they take that because they learned that earlier and then they work on something else. And then the next generation and so on and so forth. So it just keeps building. And I think, as that happens, people kind of start, you know, getting bodied a little bit more on tricks and then kind of have to start taking care of their body a little bit more and doing more recovery stuff and seeing PTs and masseuses and stuff like that. And then the Olympics happens and that brings it to a whole nother level as far as like the eyes on the sport, people learning the sport, sponsors coming into the sport. I mean, everything kind of just grows. So I think it's just an evolution across the board.
I mean, you placed fifth in 2010 in Vancouver. What changed? I mean, when you were there, like obviously for years you've been competing like Winter X Games, top events, but people don't watch that the way they watch the Olympics, like you said. So what changes when you're competing there?
I don't think really much changes for me. It was like you're dealing with so much hoopla going on at the Olympics, like between like checkpoints and this, and like there's so much random stuff that's like not part of snowboarding that when you got to the half pipe, you're like, finally, like I'm at my happy place, my comfort zone, like I'm chilling. Whereas like, I mean, it was just like so much like, well, I think we go through like 3 or 4 checkpoints and metal detectors and stuff like that. So like when you get to the half pipe, you're like, yes, I'm finally getting to snowboard. Like I'm here. Okay, good. But I think also like the lifestyle. I mean, people pay attention more with social media. I mean, look at social media, how it's changed for the better or for worse for a lot of like people's lives. I mean, it's not just like athletes or celebrities or anything. I mean, anybody. Like it just puts a microscope on a lot of people's lives. And the Olympics did that with snowboarding, where people didn't care about snowboarding, but people also thought and still think a lot of times that snowboarders are a bunch of stoners and they're idiots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, people
You
do
have
think that.
people that, a lot of companies that people don't even realize that were, started by a snowboarder. Like, I mean, the guy who started Lululemon, like he used to own a snowboarding outerwear company called West Beach. So it's like Chip crushed that and now he's in Lululemon. People don't like, oh yeah, I thought snowboarders and people in snowboarding are idiots. Like Lululemon's how big? You know what I'm saying? So it's like things like that.
But you know what's weird? It's that they view snowboarders that way, but then skiers, right, are like much more sophisticated human beings in their eyes.
That's because skiing is such a wealthy sport. I mean, snowboarding is definitely getting more and more expensive with lift tickets and equipment and stuff, but snowboarding was always the rebellious sport from ski racing mostly, or skaters or surfers that wanted to be on the snow. But like, ski racing is normally like more of a ritzy type of
Yeah,
sport. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of, I guess golf, but there's people that go golf that, aren't from a country club, but there's no like alternative, right? There's not like a different type of golf, which would be like what snowboarding is. I think,
right.
I would go to school with like kids that are all ski racers and they're like, oh, for the summer, I'm going to go stay in Nantucket and I'm going to go, to this place. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in Ohio chilling. Like I might go to Mount Hood and go snowboard, but I mean these people are like their second homes here and there, and it's like I think that's also like why we still have 3 resorts in the U.S. that don't even allow snowboarding.
Is that true?
Yeah, we have 2 of them in Utah. Alta and Deer Valley don't allow snowboarding.
I had no idea. That's
The other
crazy to
one,
me.
the other one's Mad River Glen, I believe, and that's on the East Coast. But yeah, there's like no snowboarding there. Can't snowboard.
Wow, that's so interesting because like in California, like obviously I don't didn't grow up near any snow near mountains, but like snowboarding is a big deal because of
Yeah,
surfing.
I mean, it's definitely gotten less rebellious, I feel, in a sense, than what it used to be, which is funny. Like there was a snowboard company that used to make a sticker that said it was better when skiers hated us, or like better when you hated us kind of thing. But it's kind of the evolution. But it's cool because in snowboarding, there's still no like right or wrong in my eyes. It's, me and you could do the same trick. I do the same grab as you, everything. I mean, to make it look completely different. And there's not like a right or a wrong. Like if you want to go ride POW, you can go ride POW. If you want to go do contest, do contest. You want to ride rails, go ride rails. There's no right way to do it. You just do whatever you want and however it makes you feel, and enjoy it. That's my whole thing, is just go out and enjoy it. And that's the best part about snowboarding.
It seems much less like restricted.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we don't have like this trick is worth this points. This trick is worth this many. And you have to do it like that. Like gymnastics, you salute the judges. You have like what your routine's based out of, these maneuvers or whatever are X amount of points. Like we don't have
Yeah.
that. But it's hard because judging's subjective, right? So one day I could have like a sick run and get no point, like get a crappy score, go to the next event, do the same run, right, the exact same, and then get a banger score. So there is like, that's probably the hard part, but the judges have a hard part because they're watching all these people ride doing some of the same tricks, different style, different amplitude, all this. And then it's like, you got to separate. How do you separate these people?
Has there been a tournament like an X Games, maybe the Olympics, whatever tournament where you did a couple runs and you just thought you were judged poorly?
Yeah, of course. We always say like the saying we say is like, sometimes you get the elevator and sometimes you get the shaft.
And you just deal with it. Like that's it.
I always say you got to control the controllable. I can only control how I ride. So my only thing would be ride better, so the judges have no choice but to give you a good score. And then there's been times where I probably shouldn't have won. Like so-and-so maybe rode better than me, but I got hooked up and
Yeah. So I know we have to end soon. So, obviously the Olympics, the holy grail of like most sports, like except soccer, when they have the World Cup, it's like that's the biggest thing. It is the Olympics. You did not medal at the Olympics. Was that like a big disappointment for you? I mean, you got fifth, which is still obviously like really good when you think of how many snowboarders there are.
I think it was because I thought I should have done better. But again, you just remind yourself you can only control what you can do. Like I can't control how other people ride or the scores, but was hard. I think the hardest for me was 2014 because I missed maybe one or like two podiums between like Vancouver to the qualifiers for 2014 Olympics. And then I was doing runs that have never been done and like crazy combinations, and I could not get on the podium. I was like fourth place.
Wow.
So I didn't go to 2014.
Yeah.
That one was like the hardest because I was so focused. I was eating healthy. I had my trainer. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't partying. I was like just like riding, and I was riding really well all the way up to it. And then I didn't. And then Russia was like a challenging pipe. And I remember Jake Burton, who recently passed away, but obviously the godfather of snowboarding. He said to me twice at the Burton US Open, he's like, "Oh man, you should have been in Russia. You would have killed it." And I'm like, I feel like I would have too, because I was right. I mean, I could do my run in any kind of half pipe, and the
Yeah.
pipe would be challenging there. So I think that was actually harder because of how well for the last like 3 years going up to it, I was riding so good, and I just couldn't get a score. And I mean, it is what it is. It's just part of it. I mean, I I have no regrets. That's the main thing, right? Like Apollo has a book called Zero Regrets, and it's just something that we have always talked about too. It's like when I finish my career, that's why I stopped drinking. I want to finish my career. I was in the best shape I could be in. I was the healthiest I could be in. I was focused. I was hardworking. My thing has always been, I mean, obviously the Midwest, and my dad coming from an immigrant mother, single mother too. It's just like that blue collar work ethic. Like you want to be the hardest working on and off the snow. So like if I can do all those things, I don't get a score. Well, that is what it is. As I can,
Yeah.
everything I can control, I did the best to my ability, and so that's kind of what you have to remind yourself. And in 2018, I broke my back at the first contest, and then I was getting cortisone shots in my back, and it just came to a point where my back's like, no, we're done. So That one was kind of a wash. I actually just stopped. I didn't even do the last two, I think, because my back was so jacked. So, like at those points, I couldn't even put a sock on and I was trying to ride, and I was like landing with my hands on my knees, and then as soon
Ooh,
as like that's not safe. So I was at the one contest, my coach was like, "Nah, you're done, leave." And so then I just need to do the rest of them because I couldn't keep getting cortisone's bad to keep getting injected. So at
yeah.
that point, I was like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna happen."
How close were you to being selected for the 2014 team?
I'm not really sure. I was probably I would say I'm like was like fifth, maybe sixth, and they take four. I don't really know how. I didn't. I mean, for me, it's like all or nothing, right? You either make it or you don't. So I didn't.
Right. No, of course.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no, no. So I just don't really know the answer to that.
yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I guess it's so I guess like skiing and well, like skiing half pipe and snowboarding half pipe and gymnastics, they're such subjective sports.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also great in a sense too because it's like keep like you said. I mean, like we said, like you can do like how do you really score a trick that's we're doing the same trick, same grab, and it looks completely different, like different access, different style, a different way you poke it. So I mean, it's definitely fun. I don't think that having a point system for tricks will be the answer ever. It's just it is what it is. It is. I mean, that's what makes it great. You just keep doing your thing and trying to keep mixing it up, and it kind of forces you to kind of mix it up. So
Is there another system that might be better or
no, I think they've done different scoring systems as far as how they score. Like, is it overall impression? Is it like breaking amplitude? This person scores amplitude. This person scores trick difficulty. This person score. I mean, they've tried different ones like that. And I mean, it's everything's evolving. So everything's like in '98 Olympics, it was combined score of 2 runs. Now, I mean, now it's not. It's like
now they take the better
run,
score, right?
some are 2 runs, some contests are 3 runs. So I mean, everything kind of changes over time. But I think it's going and it's I still like it. I mean, I still enjoy competing, and so I don't really it doesn't bother me enough to make a change for anything or like like brainstorm it.
Yeah, to me it's just like as somebody who like grew up playing team sports, it's just like it just frustrates me like as a concept.
But see, I think it's hard. Teams. I did like ODP soccer and stuff growing up, but that's hard because I could have the best game of my life, but my teammates didn't
Right.
try. They played bad, and that's it. And this one, like, it's in my hands. It's all. I only person I can blame is myself, really.
If you want yeah, if like if you're the type of person, which I guess you specifically are,
Yeah.
then that's where you want to be. You know, it's like, okay, it's me. I know what I did wrong. The only person to blame is myself or, the judge.
Yeah.
Depending on how you're feeling that day.
Give me like 15 minutes and I'm good. Like, let's figure out what they think, and you could probably see them at another event judging. So it's like find out what they think and build off of that.
Interesting. I never thought of it where you can kind of scout the judges
I mean, we know most of them. I've known most of them like 10 plus 15 years. So it's like you see them out that night.
and you can't
A lot
yell
of
at
them
them.
a lot of them are like old snowboarders and people that have been in the sport, a lot of them. And so it's like, I mean, you have a relationship. So normally it's better to have like your coach maybe figure out why they scored you bad and then go from there. But I mean, what do you really get accomplished by yelling at somebody anyway? So it's like, and plus you're going to see them again like 5 more times that year.
Yeah.
So
Then you're just out here burning bridges and
and the other thing, I mean, like I said, it's hard to be a judge. Like I wouldn't want to be a judge. I could give
oh
you
god no.
this person rode better, but then you also have to give them a score and slot them right, and that could play. And let's say somebody that you didn't think was riding well in practice, or you haven't heard riding well, all of a sudden just like goes out of their mind, and then you're screwed in your system. So it's definitely hard.
Where does one last question. Where does like there's like a roster like who snowboards first, who goes second, third. Where does that matter?
So in qualifying, it's random, really. So it's like they like break. There's like points for people like where they're ranked and stuff, but that can be skewed because like a lot of people might not do every event because it doesn't matter for this sponsor doesn't care. Like I didn't do a lot of these World Cup contests that were in Europe and stuff because it wasn't really on TV over here. And I, would do the big ones, X Games, Grand Prix, do tours, all those ones. So then it kind of gets skewed that way, but then it's the orders random and then it's reverse qualifying. So then maybe some people like love to drop last. I don't really try to drop first. First is kind of hard because you're kind of like where the scale is going to start. Like,
You're
okay,
setting the tone.
Yeah, so that's kind of hard, but
Yeah.
you still see some people that drop in first and will win, but it's just I think it's a little more difficult regardless of how hard you try for it not to be the case. It normally is.
But other than first, like you're good.
I don't really care.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
I can tell you
sorry,
I'm
sorry, I was a pain, but you crushed it for me. So thank you so
oh
much.
yeah, no problem. I personally, as you can tell, I'm not like I don't know a whole lot about snowboarding. So
I don't care. I don't expect people to though.
oh, that's good. That's good. I learned a lot. Thank you for letting me bother you. Where can everyone find you?
At Louie Vito, everything. That's pretty much it.
At Louie Vito for everything.
Instagram,
Actually,
Twitter. Yeah.
your website even.
Yeah, my website's probably a little old, but we'll go.
It is. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was on the website and I'm like, when was this build? Like 2012 or something like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay young, man. Forever
No,
young.
it's good. It's good. Well, you're pushing that age where it's like, am I young? So I get that too.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for listening. Follow Louie at Louie Vito.
Yeah.
Everywhere you get your stuff, and hopefully we'll see him in the Olympics next year.
Let's go.
Let's go. So thank you for watching, and everyone stay safe.
Ciao.